Hi, and welcome to Telepathic TV. This is television that you watch with your third eye, and I'm Neville-Johnston.
And I'm Mary Phelan, and our program is about raising our consciousness. And tonight's subject is going to be pain, what's really going on.
Yeah,
but before,
very good.
I guess we'll go straight into that.
No, I would announce that today is 5 Monique in Mayan. And if you're interested in Mayan or more information on it, we would be willing to convene a class, but you'd have to...
yeah, well, and Monique is the tribe of the healing hand. And
healing
Monique,
hand of God.
Monique days are days where you're really looking to see where you end and other people begin. Not that we're not all one, ultimately, but it's a good day to figure out your boundaries and take command of those.
And five-tone explains a lot also.
That's true.
Okay, yeah.
Well, today the topic of pain, we're approaching this from the idea that all pain is a language that you are using to speak to yourself via, and it's because you didn't hear it when it was in higher forms, when it was in an inkling of boredom or just wishing to move somewhere else or do something different, and not hearing that then it has to be stepped down more and more and more until it eventually lands in your physical body.
Oh, yeah.
So as we talk tonight, please feel free to call in with things, pain that you may have in your life, and we can help show you how to get at the real bottom of it. What is your bottom line? What is that pain telling you? Because otherwise we're just not answering the door, and the pain will keep, or the message will keep knocking until we do. It doesn't keep knocking after we've answered the door.
Well, we want to explain that pain is, as always, a code word, and it's talking about guilt, it's talking about fear, it's talking about worry, all of these little reptilian words that are sprinkled on us like powdered aluminum on a nerve ending. These words that short-circuit ourselves, for example, mistake. Okay, well, there really is no such thing. It's not a real concept because it worked out. Don't worry about it. Everything went, worry. Everything went exactly the way it was supposed to go. So we have long taught the idea of treating your brain and installing flags around certain concepts. So if you feel in pain, if you feel in doubt, if you feel guilty, if you feel fear, instead of having your normal reaction to that, which is, what did I do wrong, we're asking you to change what did I do wrong to what's really going on. If you switch to what's really going on, you will dramatically increase your conscious awareness. It is simply the way this works. We're in this progressed brainwashing to delay our getting to the place where we can initiate a change that will make our life a better place to be, by feeling guilty about it for years, by worrying about it for years, by hanging on to these ancient pains that do nothing but create roadblocks in the creation of your divine reality, creating a bumpier reality, to say the very least, but nonetheless. So to switch to tag the feeling that used to take the pit of your stomach and turn it inside out, to tag that to what's really going on. What's really going on here? Okay, and I can tell you for one thing, it's not happening right now, because fear is always future set, guilt is always set in the past, worry, while it would propose to be in the present, is actually in the future. I was worried about that up until I figured it out. Where were we?
Yeah, and as far as worry, when I grew up, it was, I thought worrying was doing something about the problem, but it's obviously not doing anything about it.
And another one is doubt. The brilliance of it is that if we decide something, regardless of what physics would say, regardless of what we believe is reality, regardless of any of that, if we decide it, it will happen unless we doubt it. And that's been very confusing for us because we don't know. We just notice it didn't happen. Yeah. So this process of ongoing transmutation is held up substantially by these programs of as I said, reptilian words that
Well,
are
you're right,
keeping
because
us.
all pain really is from the past or it's from the future, or it's an evaluation. It's a separation from the moment.
Yeah.
Judgment is throwing you out of the moment as well, because you're either experiencing or you're measuring. And if you are judging, then you are outside of the moment, looking at the moment, and that is separating you, even though it may be in the same time frame or in the same time zone.
Yeah.
And you're right, every pain that we have contains something from the past, because it's attempting to talk to us.
Yeah.
So you may bump your toe right now in the present, but it is always a message about the past. Something, something about the past. So I have found that every emotional pain we have always contains guilt.
Yes.
It always contains a guilt, and we always are judging ourselves. There's a judgment that we have placed on ourselves. So if you look at a physical pain or an emotional pain and do what you were saying, where you say immediately, what are you saying to me, to the pain, rather than what did I do wrong, why am I being punished? It's a whole different ballgame.
Oh,
And it gets back to what we said 1,000 million times on this show, which is what is the blessing in it?
Yeah, which is another whole, that would be graduate work to ask what the blessing is, as far as we can tell about the way. But since the 2012, notice how they spent 3 or 4 sessions in there, at least I noticed, where they were going to install the next big paranoia for people to have. And it didn't work, did it? What's the next big paranoia? The fiscal cliff? That's a fiscal cliffhanger. That is just one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my entire life. And what do you see, the president there hanging on to a huge stack of dollars, waiting to careen into Korea? Where is that exactly?
Well,
And
it
we
really
have
shows you how money is just all a thing on paper anyway.
Yeah,
so
it's
we
paper
have a call.
money. Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Hey, it's Lina.
Hi,
Lina,
Lina.
what can we do for you?
Well, I got lots of pains. I didn't know which one to pick.
Oh, okay.
Pick the happy one. No, wait, pick the one that's causing you the most pain.
Or the least.
Let's take the digestion.
That's hard to swallow.
Right between your, what is that bone? Right between the bottom of your rib cage where they come together.
Yeah.
Pain right in there.
Sternum, yeah. Which is
And
an
where
accurate
does it
pressure
go?
point. Go ahead.
Well, wait, let's...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just asking her, you said it starts there, and where does it go to? Or is
It comes up. It's like GERDs or, you know.
Well, one of the things, if we just look at this literally, acid is normally confined to our stomach, and our stomach is constantly churning and moving and everything, and acid moves up, and when it does, it triggers this little muscle to close so that it doesn't go up. And if we have low acid in our stomach, then it never really registers to close. So then the acid comes back up the esophagus. And so what the traditional remedy for that is people give antacids, which then produce a lower acid content in the stomach, which kind of, it keeps the problem going and makes it even worse. So with that being said, the idea of something's not closing for you to digest, and so sometimes that can mean that there's something from the past that you really haven't been able to digest. And it may be some anger, an old anger, because acid is a very similar thing to an anger. Even in our vocabulary, we say, ooh, he had such an acid tongue, or whatever.
Tone, yeah.
So, yeah, tone. So if you look at it as it's an old anger that keeps coming back up, I mean, in the literal translation, it's coming back up, and you're not able to close that door. Sometimes there are events in our life, you know, people talk about closure, but in our emotional body, until the emotion, we figure out a way to move that emotion, and I've done EFT for many years, and I really think it's a profound thing, that sometimes it will creep back up until we get that out of that, let's just say that nerve, that emotional nerve that it's sitting on. Anyway, did you have something you wanted to say too?
So...
Do you ever get rid of all the
Yes.
pain that the body
Yes.
holds?
Yes, you can. The body, when we were very, very young, there wasn't such a thing as pain. The very first pain the child experiences is overwhelming. To an adult, you wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it is, we have already been there and we can return there. And pain equals resistance. And as Mary was saying, this is resistance to releasing things from the past.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Do we ever get rid of the emotional pain that we hold in our body?
I'd ask you to make that decision.
Well, that's a good point. That's a very good point about making the decision.
Yeah.
But I would just say, number one, I just wanted to clarify also what we were saying, or what I was saying earlier. It's not so much you letting go of the past, it's something you haven't been able to resolve.
Uh-huh.
So let's say if your father died young, that's something that sometimes we just can't resolve. It just doesn't make sense. Where did they go? It would have been great to have them here, whatever the thing is. It's something like that I feel. Number two, pain will stay around, or things will stay around long enough to provide what they came to provide you. And every time we have a pain, whether it's emotional or physical, it gives us something. So I would say question number one is saying, what do I gain by this? Now don't look at what do you gain?
Uh-huh.
For instance, let's say someone breaks their leg and you say, well, what did you gain from that? Well, or what is it preventing you from doing? I'm sorry, ask yourself that question first. What is it preventing me from doing? It's preventing me from lying down, or preventing me from walking around, or going and doing my mail route or something. Well, then the pain came to help you so that you didn't have to do the thing that it's preventing. So what would you say this condition or this pain is, how is that hampering your existence right now?
It's preventing me from getting a good night's sleep, that's for sure.
Okay.
There you go.
So,
okay, so you're preventing your dream time from coming in, and your dream time is your grand therapist, by the way, and is also your metaphysical teacher, pardon the expression, out the wazoo. You don't have to pardon it. It's not really something to pardon. You can just excuse it and let it go.
A formal pardon.
But you're keeping yourself from connecting to the bigger parts of you by it. And that's all symptomatic of being hypnotized in the society that we live in, that you're not allowed to have any power, that you're certainly, and above all, not allowed to have any personal sovereignty whatsoever. That's why I said a few minutes ago, make that decision. You're asking us to make it for you. Decide that your body doesn't have to hurt. Just make that decision. Just make it. It doesn't matter what therapy we provide. It doesn't matter any of the rest of it. It is the idea that before that will happen, you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
So, and it's not, decision is the word, however, it's more like desire. And desire is desire. It is the idea of creating this, and the creating of it is up to you. And so for thousands of years on this show, we have been talking about get a hold of this thing and create it, because you have already created the pain, and you can say that it was because of diet and not be inaccurate. You can say it was because of inherited it in the gene line. You can blame it on DNA. You can blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, and that's very interesting, well not, but still, it is the idea that you grab a hold of your life and you live it, and that's the way it works. The grand flu that's sweeping, cancel, is people that aren't really happy with their life. They want a reason to be out of it, even if it's only for a few weeks, and they will give up the idea of going, oh, I'm taking 2 weeks off. I don't care if I'm fired. I don't care if I'm paid. I'm taking 2 weeks off as a mental health exercise. I'm going to go to some great seminar Mary and I might be offering, or whatever that is. I'm going to spend the 2 weeks working on myself. Oh, no, well, you can't do that. Well, then I'll be sick for oh, yes, you can definitely do that. Oh, good. Okay, so then I'm not allowed to work on me, but I can be in agony for 2 weeks, and that's my break from the life I don't want to live. Freud is with me now. Yes, Sigmund, I hear you.
You are starting to look
I'll
like
be there.
Freud
Hang on.
now.
What?
You are starting to look like Freud.
Yes, it's a Freudian slip.
Well, wait, you just said something that
I
I
wasn't
wish
listening.
to comment on because it was really inspiring there.
Oh, good. Yeah, this is what,
About the flu or
Yes.
whatever that is. I feel that what also happens is when we have anger, and we all do, we get angry at people, and it's not really in our best interest to run over to our boss and say, I hate you, or whatever that is that might be going through your head, right? So what do we do with it? It sits in our body. It sits in our emotional body as well as our physical body, but it begins in the emotional body. And if we take care of it in that body, it doesn't have to get in the physical body. But when we get full of that, when it gets to be too much, it comes into our body so that we look at the pain and say, what is really going on, and go to the real source. And as long as we're not really hitting the real source, it may hop around and change facets. We may look at part of it and it moves over here. But ultimately, the pain or whatever it looks like is the big thing that we're stumbling over in our life. When we say, can't I ever get rid of that? That's like a Sherpa taking us up the mountain of ourself. And after a while, we get to a certain vibration where we no longer have to have it come disguised as pain, emotional or physical, and we can do it through conscious choice. And if we have an area that's like that, just bless it and say, oh, great, I still have other things to explore about myself. And just by doing that, the pain no longer is serving a function. And so that same angel is now presenting itself at a higher level. Just one way to look at that.
Yeah.
yeah, there are apparently more light workers in child form than in adult form on our planet at this point. In other words,
Thank heavens.
the next generation coming up will
Aren't they
get all of
amazing?
this a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, flew in, right? The flu, it flew in. Tell it to fly out.
Fly out.
Yeah, just say bye to the flu. And I don't mean the
Adios.
thing in the fireplace.
Vamos.
Yeah, what we're talking about is we are in command of reality, and they would tell us the reality is in command of us, and that is enough fodder to put you to sleep for 15 lifetimes because it's totally a lie. Reality is not fixed. We are what's fixed, and we keep telling reality what to do, and reality therefore does it. Okay. Now the other big picture here is that the veil is made of particles. The veil is made of particles of thought. And guess who's thinking the veil into existence? Come on, guess. Who is it? Who? Well, you, yes, you knew. See, he knew. There we go. Yeah, you are thinking this into existence, and you can think yourself out of it. Changing dimension is as easy as changing the place at which you put your attention. It's that easy. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Liar, I am not. It's the truth. You change dimension as soon as
It's the only way you can have an intelligent conversation.
Yes, and yes. Yeah, and I was saying something there, so.
You were. Attention. The power
Yes,
of
attention.
attention, the power of our focus.
Exactly,
blaming.
and we do not comprehend how potent that is.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've said like forever, there's the pile of dog poopy and there's the pile of diamonds. Okay, and the immature one, oh look poopy, and the mature one, oh look poopy, because we're not that aware yet. Here's the 50 trillion carat diamond. Oh, look at the flaw in it. It's a 50 trillion carat diamond. Oh, look at the flaw in it. This is like whatever movie that was, which is not all that interesting to begin with or end with, for that matter. So the idea is we came here to be sovereign of reality. Okay? If we got two people to agree on really anything, they could change the entire of the universe. Just like that. Just like that. Just two people to agree on something. The combined force of two free wills aligned could create a mountain of gold, which would not really be interesting, and where would you put it? Yeah? Okay.
You have to get a bigger house and all that.
Yeah, and all the rest of that. So we're brilliant, and we're in command, and we're taught, you're not. And we're taught, you're not brilliant, you're not in command. And that's been since we were small children. And we believe it. Stop that, stop it. You're awake. When I count to 3, you
even
will
though
wake up.
we begin to believe
1,
it from a
2,
conscious level,
3,
our body,
awake.
our body still holds that negativity.
By your command, did you just hear me make the decision? She just decided her body's holding negativity.
Well, let me just hear what she said. What did you say? I'm sorry, Lina.
Excuse me?
What did you say?
I said that even though we know, we can understand it with our rational mind, the negativity is still in the body from the childhood. It's like it's in the cells.
Well, I would say something, because this really is the line of work that I do, honestly.
Yes,
I
we
know.
do.
Your sessions are so powerful, Mary.
Yes, they are.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
In fact, I've got one with you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. That's great. I really feel, and I know that for all intents and purposes and everything, we use the idea of there are negative things and positive things, or desirable things and non-desirable things. And I really do feel that when we look at the blocks, and let's just call it a block, a neutral block, something that appearing to block our energy, if we define it as being on our side, it's a completely different animal than saying it's not on our side. Yeah. And I think that is the consciousness shift that we're talking about here, saying, okay, because is it true that we still carry energies of unresolved feelings from our childhood? Absolutely. All of us do. All of us do. And anybody that says they don't is just not willing to really look, or is afraid to look. Yeah. Now, if we say, is everybody carrying negativity and things that are preventing them from being who they are? I would then say no, that's not necessarily a truth, and it's not a truth that can guide us to the greatest possible outcome. So another facet is, if we look at the things holding us back, like those experiences that we haven't resolved, as somehow being on our side, and we don't have to even figure out why. We don't have to say, oh, that marriage breakup was a good thing because now I've met this beautiful person over here and all that. We don't even have to have any kind of proof that it was on our side. That's where that faith comes in. And we must believe in order to see, not see in order to believe. So anything that is on our side that moves us forward, I think, is good. So there does come a time, though, and I've been through it too, where it just seemed like there was always more things to explore. And on one hand, that's a good thing, because we get pretty bored if we discovered this whole being that we came here to discover, which is ourselves. But there comes a time, after a while, it turns into an exciting thing, and you're finding treasure chests instead of painful things. And it's just this tipping point of awareness, and I think that awareness is just looking at it slightly differently, like I just said. So what were you going to say?
I'd like to speak for a few moments.
Sure. Go right ahead.
What we don't comprehend here is that everything happens because we decide it happens. It's called free will. Everything that happens in your life is your idea, true or false. Now, a lot of people will answer false because they don't have the capacity to take responsibility for themselves enough to realize that that's their idea. Okay, so once you recognize that everything that happens in your life is your idea, you're actually in a position to make an informed decision. The reason people are so squeamish around the idea of volunteering is that they feel they will have a burden placed upon them, when the exact opposite is the truth. As soon as you agree to say, I'm responsible for this, then you can do something about it. Until you say you are responsible for it, you cannot. Okay, so once you take command of your own life and say, I'm responsible for what's going on in my life, then you can create a much smoother reality than the one you would have created based on the idea of it all being somebody else's idea.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so then whatever happened in your childhood is whatever happened in your childhood. Right now we are with the adults, and the adult has to take responsibility for what happened, but you do not have to continue any sort of pain from any other dimension because you just make that decision, and decisions work until you doubt them. So I decide that I have no pain. And in fact, I decide that I don't have to be teacher, and I also decide that I don't have to convince anyone of anything. And that makes it all just okay. And if there are any questions, please call.
Well, I would like to, that was very good. And I think we all essentially agree with that because it's really about claiming power and responsibility. But one of the things that you were saying is seeing that I created it, or taking responsibility. I think that was the word I'd written down.
Yeah.
The thing about taking responsibility, it is, and I'm going to say that there are times in our evolution, in areas of our life, like we can be very, very advanced spiritually, but when it comes to talking with someone one-on-one, we may have a lot of shyness. So we have different areas that develop differently, and we're all perfect. And it's not like there's a finish line or a race that we have to get there and say, okay, now I'm done cooking. Like when, oh, I'm grown up now, I'm finished. There's never a finish line because there's no race, and it's just an evolution and an unfoldment and discovery. But I tell you, it is more difficult and less likely for people to take responsibility for things in their life when they are judging them as being bad or wrong. Because I tell you, one of the first things that I have seen people walk through in this idea of we create our reality and I'm responsible for my own existence, first thing a lot of people say, and this is a room we walk through in the development of our belief systems, is, oh my gosh, if I'm creating my reality, why did I create this mess? And guess what happens? First thing, they start beating themselves up. It starts getting unconscious guilt, and then they sabotage other areas of their life because they're afraid to create at this point. But once this is the key, and Seth put it brilliantly, we either say, I live in a safe universe, or I'm safe within the universe. And they sound the same, but they're completely different. One says that I am safe within the universe, but there are places I'm not safe. And if you believe that, you've got to spend your whole life building walls and blocking that other force out, that negative force out, trying to hide from it, and your whole life is then in the realm of measurement and fleeing. Or you say, I live in a safe universe. And so when you commit to that, you have to be willing to look and say, everything is on my side. Okay, this may not feel good, this may have been a terrible thing, I was in pain, but somehow this is on my side. And just by asking the question, it helps you to vibrate at a higher level.
Oh, yeah.
And then it becomes very simple to take responsibility because you're not going to be that critical parent that's going to beat you up if you take responsibility for something and mess it up. Do you see?
I do.
Because
yeah.
you're on your own
Absolutely,
side.
taking responsibility for the words you choose.
That's the language codes book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Been teaching this simply forever. The latest language code I recognized, which was through a book I was reading, Garden of Unknowable Things. If you refer to something as complex, you have told me that you don't understand it. So when people say, oh, I'm complex, all they've told you is they don't begin to understand who they are, which because
It's okay.
yes, but I mean, people don't know they're doing that, which is not unusual on our planet for, the language codes that are in and throughout everything.
No.
Um,
You also can say something like, you're a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
I prefer posterior.
Yeah, that too.
In the arse.
Yes. Preponderous pain in the posterior is actually the expression
Watch
I
out
prefer.
for hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Lina. Boy,
Thank
it's
you,
so
too.
wonderful to talk with you. You
And
always.
I look forward to my next session with you, Mary.
Oh, and I look forward to seeing
take
you.
this further.
Yes, absolutely. Boy, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Your calls are always so
Yes.
loved.
Yeah, thank you. We love to hear from you.
We have another call.
Hi, caller. What's your name, please? Hi, caller. What's your name? No? No call.
Now.
My name is Jennifer,
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
and this was a perfect subject because I've been having a lower back pain for a couple of years, and I had a dream that I wanted to share. And in the dream, I had asked before dreaming, what is any insights about what this could be? And my dream was in the lower right side of my lower back, there was a USB, like what a computer has.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a hard drive attached to it, a small USB drive. And I was starting to get ideas about, what is a hard drive for me. It's like storage and then how could I bring the dream forward and work with it in meditation, which I haven't done yet, but I wanted to see if you have any insight.
Well, that is so interesting because hard drive is a hard drive, but it's also the two words, hard drive. Like, are you driving yourself hard? Because lower back often has to do with driving yourself hard, carrying the weight of something, bending over backwards for something or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, I can tell you have something, so why don't you go? And
yes,
then
lower back pain is always bending over backwards for someone. Might I guess your boss, mom, bending over backwards. Jennifer, are you there?
Yeah, I am. I got an idea right now as I was listening. I didn't pick out the word hard, but it's true. I feel like even the exploration of what is this pain about, because, I just come from a place of consciousness, and it can be frustrating to a conscious person that has taken responsibility to be like, okay, so I did all this work, and I'm peeling the onion, and it's still there. And I realized, I think this thought came to meditate on downloading the hard drive to a device and see what comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, before all
what
that,
am I holding there?
Yeah.
did you see do you watch Star Trek at all? This is a Star Trek episode you've outlined. Do you watch Star Trek at all?
Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Yes.
Okay, and you saw the Voyager series?
I've seen some of it.
Okay, so the ship was taken over by aliens that were testing stress on humans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they had on Janeway, they had this clamp they were steadily tightening on her head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that just flashed right through to your dream. I mean, it's the same thing, only good, okay. Now, they eventually got a hold of these people and in a loving way showed them what they were doing. Okay, and there is, and not to spread panic amongst we the humans, because that's just way too easy to do. There is, I'll choose to comment upon that only in private. Okay, so, does that mean I'm done?
I don't know, are you?
No, I'm not. Okay. So the idea, actually I am. Okay. Did you hear me when I said lower back pain is bending over backwards?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think it's also interesting if you look at USB and hard drive, it's USB hard drive. So I think your lower back is telling you of an unconscious belief that we must drive ourselves really hard or we're not successful or we're not doing a good job, which I think is really a symptom that is epidemic in our unconscious.
Let me do that one. That came directly from Eckhart Tolle, who said, nothing you can possibly do will make you any greater than you already are.
Uh-huh.
So you understand that? Which means all of the pressure is off, which means you don't actually have to do anything.
Wow.
It's on or it's not.
This is all resonating with me. Thank you. I sometimes I'm too caught up in my own, I guess, self-work, and it's I don't know, when I say it out loud, it's like a step forward in a way. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to take it outside, you know.
Thank you, Jennifer. As a matter of fact, I know you're a brilliant dreamer, and that dream tells me that you are as well.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, just the U, us, B, hard drive, USB, hard drive, that is so literal, and it's such a sentence that it's telling you something so clearly. And you're bringing up something that I think is going to help everyone, because one of the things in our spiritual unfoldment is we think everybody's on this fast track where we just have no patience with ourselves. It's like we got to get that, because that is programmed in our work life and in other areas. And it's not a bad thing to be driven. It's just, if it's done through love and passion, it's good, and you'll be funded, and it'll be on your side. Yeah.
I prefer being chauffeured.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yes.
Thank you, Jennifer. What a brilliant dream.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neville, too.
Yes, you too. Thanks for the call. We love Please call in again soon. We love this, love these calls. Absolutely.
Absolutely do.
Yeah. Now, if you pour caffeine on the amount of stress there is, follow?
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about haven't drunk coffee in a very, very long time. And like most addictions, I've gone back and forth with it. I drank coffee for a long time, and then I quit for a long time, and then I drank for a long time. And now I haven't had coffee, any stimulants whatsoever, in I don't know how many years. I really don't know how many years. And one of the times when I started in coffee again, I had, which I enjoyed because that's the nature of addictions. So I drink all this coffee, and all of a sudden I have this body-wide panic, like an alarm has gone off in the center of my stomach, like this. And I'm going, nothing's the matter. Well, what is sounding this alarm? It's chemically induced. It's the caffeine. It's just the caffeine. It is just a physiological chemical response to the caffeine. Good God, what was I thinking? That's just totally destroyed my ability to be in charge of my life because I had to go put out this non-existent alarm going off in my stomach pit.
Well, I think that's really an interesting thing. That
Yeah.
a good observation, and it's also funny that we as a human race are so addicted to coffee and love it. We've gotten so used to that feeling of waking up.
Yeah, we don't know it's there.
I had at least
That's
20
my-
years or more of my work
Yeah.
life where I would wake up in the morning because there was so much to do, where I would wake up in a panic. That was the first thing that crossed my mind and my body as I woke up. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to get up, I got to get this done, I got to get to work.
Chemically induced. Could we please introduce that term to the human race? This madness that we're involved in is chemically induced.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But we would not be drawn to that chemical-induced feeling if we did not have it in our emotional body first. It would seem like to you
True, love or anger
because
comes from
after
within.
I really worked and got myself to the level where I was, I mean, I can still be in a hurry and all that, but I really don't feel it in my gut like I used to. But the rare time it comes, it's like what you're saying with the chemical reaction. It's like, ooh, I really am aware of this. So start looking at that feeling, whether it's through chemical induction or it's through your boss giving you deadlines. Look at that feeling and say, this is foreign. Whether it's induced through your own chemistry or the chemistry of coffee, just say, I don't accept it. I think that's a very good
It's
thing to
very
extract
much,
from that.
that's in fact the entire theme of the show, what is really going on. Now, another thing I wanted to add to this was I have quit sugar. I quit it intermittently several times, but always went back to it, and now I haven't eaten sugar since I can remember. And I'm much calmer. You know, if you really want to be a great kindergarten teacher, you want to take 500 gummy bears and just plain sugar and just feed it, have them wash it down with soda, and you'll just watch the kids go totally, okay, and it's chemically induced. Okay, sugar is chemically induced. Once you get to the point where your body wakes you up, not your fact that your body's filtered out the caffeine long enough to require a dose, which is your average sleep cycle. Yeah, okay. Oh, time for more caffeine. Wait, I can't be this happy, it's the morning. Okay, or the sugar addiction, and you can see the meetings they had at cartels. How can we get little tiny children hooked on sugar? You can see these meetings. And then the people that are, you know, kissing up in the meeting room, we can put it in cereal and tell kids it's good for them. And we can make it happy, happy little shapes so that they'll mistake them for toys. And we can get an entire generation so completely addicted to sugar that well, what do you do with that? Okay, so then in quitting sugar, what happened was there is the idea that sugar, sweetness in your life, sweetness has become a dietary supplement. Okay, you don't recognize sweetness because you're bouncing around so incoherently. Once you can stop sugar long enough, you can start to recognize that people are sweet, that sweetness comes from other things besides cane sugar. Sweetness comes from, and you can't just give up sugar, you're going to have something sweet. Well, we'll give you stevia. Who's Steve and what is you know, all the rest of this. So the idea of sugar is another one that just keeps you from understanding what's really going on, because you can be happy without it being some kind of a high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the point was noted, and it's a good point.
Yeah. So
something, and it's not to change the subject. We can
No.
certainly go back to that. But I just wanted to tell Jennifer. Okay,
Sure.
I'm being cued to be quiet here.
oh, this is a painting of, and we can come back to this if you would like to speak
Just
to Jennifer.
do your thing.
This is a painting. There's a series that I'm calling the Puddle series. This was one in this group, in which there is simply a plane with a puddle in it, which is doing many, many, many things. So this is,
It's very lovely.
yeah, it really does
Very
do its
vivid.
own job.
Very vivid.
Yeah, and my daughter mentioned that this could be a small child holding a balloon that is the cloud by the lightning strike,
Yeah.
which gave me an image somehow of Benjamin Franklin as a small child, conceptually, all the way around. But the paintings are coming quite along, and there's...
Could I just say
Yeah,
this to
please
Jennifer, because I'm
say this to
losing it.
Jennifer, please.
It's really fading, and actually
Yeah,
I
I
could
know.
write it down.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say one quick thing about her dream. Every dream, as you know, gives us multiple messages, and I always use the example: it doesn't rain for only one reason; it rains for lots of reasons. And so it's funny that your painting came up. But I really felt, especially since I believe you said the lower right half of your back, which is the left brain
Oh,
or
well
whatever.
put.
I feel too that what it's saying is that there is a lot of information coming to you in dream time, and make sure you get that written out or typed out or something like that, and put onto your computer. Almost like sometimes we'll hold that knowledge, and then it's not like we ever run out of space, but it's almost like that won't bring in more. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead
yeah.
to your next painting. Sorry.
So there we go. I don't know if it's the monitor distorting. That's actually a circle rather than an oval. This is one of the oldest symbols. Inside of every equilateral triangle, there are 4 smaller equilateral triangles taking up the space. Now, it's very easy to understand that if we're talking about just the triangular part of this, we'll put it in the circle in a moment. Just the triangular part is like a flattened tetrahedron. In other words, if you took the center triangle and folded the 3 other triangles up, you would have a perfect tetrahedron. That would be the manifestation of this painting from a 2-dimensional painting into a 3-dimensional sculpture. It would become a tetrahedron. And then if you did that entire process twice, you would have the Merkaba, which are paintings we will talk about later. This in particular is known as the 4 faces of God. In the hieroglyphic, if you see this as a hieroglyphic, it means the 4 faces of God and the central face. And the fact that it's in a circle is another God symbol all the way around. The sphere gets it to move. And here we are, back again.
It's very lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very soothing, too. One day I was doing some yoga stretching and everything. This was back when you first did that one, and it was in the room, and I just felt this incredible heart-healing calmness coming from it. It was very lovely.
Oh, how sweet of you to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very
see,
nice.
sweetness,
Yeah.
something you recognize,
Yes.
yeah, rather than
Yes.
ingest, pardon the drum I'm beating.
Something, I don't know if we're ready for the duck or whatever, but
There's the duck.
okay, we'll do the duck.
There's David, our duck dangler. And here come the duck. There we go.
Okay, and the angel card that I drew, these two wish to come together, presence and light. A light presence, and presence is light.
Grace, which is the opposite of complexity, by the way, speaking of codes.
Well, you know, coming from somebody that loves puzzles, I'm very left-brained as well, and I love solving things. Complexity is not bad either. I think the idea is don't get lost in anything. Don't forget yourself in anything. Well, forget the moment, or forget the past and the future and get lost in the moment. I mean like that. But don't lose who you are. So whether that's to complexity or to simplicity, it's all the same. But something I wish to say real quick that I think is really at the bottom of all pain in human beings, and that is this desire to be loved and to be lovable. And it's so intense that it turns into a fear. So much so that I feel that's what drives the ego, is the fear and the desire, the manic desire to be loved, where we have to be seen, we have to be loved. And all of us have it. All of us, we're human, we have it. And there is a lighter side of that, meaning not light and dark so much as lighter. It's a less weighted thing, and then a more weighted thing. But the cause of all sadness is not feeling loved. So what I would propose to everybody is look yourself in the mirror, or tonight when you go to sleep, and just say, I love myself unconditionally. Because the only reason another person not loving you hurts you is because then you take that as a sign that you're not supposed to love yourself. If you refuse to ever withhold love from yourself, regardless of how many people are, then you will always be happy. That's what I have to say.
Excellent. So as soon as we, the human race, and this is very easy to understand, I know caller will be right with you, this is very easy to understand. Absolutely everything is love. The idea of what we used to call bad, let us use the word nemesis. Nemesis originally meant your friend, your best friend, in fact. There is the part that loves you through darkness, and that is very often the only way in which we, as the less awake humans, are going to catch on to something. It's if it is presented in dark terms, but nonetheless they are always love.
Yeah.
And so, and so we say, well, there was the accident, or the car got dinged up, whatever that was, and then years later you go, oh, that was such a blessing. It's the years later is how slow we are to catch on. You could instantaneously, I understand, instantaneously catch on to this stuff. Hi, caller, what's your name, please?
Hi, Paulina.
Paulina, what can we do for you?
I just really love your show. First of all, I think your topic today was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I have a reading from Mary, please?
Sure. I'd be absolutely happy to. So there's 1, 2. I love that name too, Paulina. There are a lot of Pauls in my family, so it's nice to hear the feminine version of that. Okay, the first card we get is the ripeness card, and it talks about teaching, learning, and it's a time of being really open and receiving the things that are coming to you. And the time is right to do those things that you've been thinking about. The second card is the swan, and the swan really is the epitome of grace. It moves through the water, the neck is long, and by that, or for that reason, I feel like what it's saying is that there is this great opening that you're having with your throat chakra in communication. I don't know if you're studying something in that way or thinking of doing that for a living, or if you already are. There is a lot to be said. You have an ability to mediate or to bring calmness to situations that may be out of accordance with each other. So maybe even in law or in the courts doing that would be a good thing for you. And friendship, it could be talking about communicating with the friends or whatever, but friendship is really nice. These 2 little flowers are holding leaves, and it's talking about getting out there and really opening up. And what's so great, the more we learn about ourselves, the better friends come into our life. Up to a certain point, the people that come into our life are really mirroring back to us this idea of who we think we ought to be. And after a while we say, no, this is who I really am. You'd be amazed at the people that come into your life. So thank you. Okay.
Hi, caller, what's your name, please?
Hello, my name is Ann, and I would like a reading from Mary.
Okay.
And it's in regards to just my life direction, and I'm going to hang up.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. And the third one, I know this takes me a little bit longer, but I like having the perspective of the 3 decks. Okay. Okay, the first card is the adventure card. So you may be coming from a time where you really felt like you wanted to make some changes and take that step out there in your life, but sometimes that is a little frightening because we don't know what the future holds. We can speculate, we can have statisticians run estimates of what the future is going to be like, but ultimately it's always this beautiful grand surprise. And it's saying that you're aware of that and you're really ready to take the next step in your life. And the cardinal is so beautiful, and I put commitment with cardinal when I added cardinal to the spirit animal cards, because I've watched cardinals. The male cardinal will crack open a sunflower seed and feed it to the female, and they mate for life. And it talks about the commitment, where you take the time to really care for yourself or the things that you're committed to, and really look at yourself and see your beautiful colors and balance there. And then once you've done that, trust. So this could be talking about relationships, because we've all been hurt in relationships, and there comes a time where we just have to trust, because otherwise all of your energy is in protection and it's not in growth and in movement forward. And what this is saying is just relax, because you can trust what's coming to you in all ways. So thank you. All right, and we have another call.
Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Hi, my name is Merced, and I'd like a reading from Mary.
Okay, well, thank you. Let's see here. And number 2 and number 3. All right, so let's see what we got. The first card, this is a card of traveling, and it's moving forward. And it's not only traveling like getting on an airplane and going on vacation. It's traveling to new places within ourselves. That's what's so good, is we have an endless onion that is us, and we're going to find things forevermore, and it will go on endlessly. So it's saying that there's a lot of self-exploration, and you're moving up and you're walking toward your own enlightenment. And the raven is the bird of magic, and it reminds us that we are magical beings. And there's this beautiful story of Raven that was on Northern Exposure, which I love, where it talked about the light. It was the light, and something came and took the light away. And so the raven came back disguised as a baby, or a pine needle. And the guys, the emperor, whoever this was, the king's daughter ate the pine needle and then gave birth to the raven, and the raven talked the grandfather into letting him play with the light again, and he took it back up into the sky. And so the raven is really here to help you discover who you really are and solve the mysteries within yourself, which will then lead to your wisdom. So this is a great spiritual time for you of unfoldment. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Hi, caller. What's your name, please?
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
This is Gloria and James.
Hello. Hey, how are you doing?
Hey.
Haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah. So I know we're down to our last 3 minutes or so. Did you want me to pull cards, or?
Yes, for both of us.
For the coming week.
Okay, for both of you in unison here. I think we can do
We'll
that.
hang up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, we'll be at Ruby Tuesdays, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't mean to rush. I just saw that we had 3
just-
minutes, and I didn't want to get cut off in the middle. Okay, this is the understanding card. All understanding puts bars away. So all hatred between mankind and womankind can be solved with just understanding and seeing that I don't have to be separated from this idea. This feels like a big opening, and things that you had felt were not coming to you are now coming to you. And I was seeing the color gold, and which to me is saying something financial is coming. Independence can be referring to, if you are in a financial endeavor, maybe really think about your partnerships, because cats really love that independent thing. And even if they come up and climb up in your lap, they still have that aura of, I got to look after my own interests here. And so there is a fork in the road, and sometimes we may diverge our path away from something, not because it's bad or wrong, it's just not right for us right at that moment. So I feel like there's a choice coming, and fret not, because you are guided in the right direction. So thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Nice to hear your voice.
Yes, and if anyone would like to come and join us at Ruby Tuesdays, This does have to be Thursday night. If it's the Saturday rerun, we won't be there, but we will be shortly, so please do come. And what do we have coming up? We have...
I have a psychic development practicum coming up this weekend. You have face reading at one point, and then I have the EFT training. I gotta say that that's the best thing you can ever do for yourself is learn how to do this and all its nuance, which is coming up later in the month. All that's on the website.
And the bowl event.
Face reading. Oh, and the bowl event.
When is face reading again?
I'm not sure, but it's all on the web.
Okay.
I'll bring a calendar with me next time.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
And was 5 Monique today? So something you can look forward to. Tomorrow will be 6 Lamont for those following, that sort of thing.
Lamont.
Lamont, and I will spend the day doing art, I can guarantee it.
Because it's the tribe of the artist.
Yes.
So it was our joy and honor to take you to the door, and thank you for joining us tonight. Please tell your friends about the show. Spread the link around. If you would be so kind, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant future, and I'm so happy to be past 2012.